Thank you everyone for coming. This is Data Analytics, Storytelling for the Modern Company. I'm Lawrence Franzoni. I'll be taking us through this journey today, and really excited that you all could join us today, and really think that there's a lot of great information today. I can hopefully share that with you, and really call to action, right? That is really, what are we doing with our data today? Are we listening to the stories? Are we listening to what the data has to tell us? So really exciting stuff. Let's go ahead and get started here. Some of the key facts about Svitla Systems. So Svitla has been around for over 19 years. We're global, US-based company, and we've completed over 1,000 projects. And within those projects, you know, really we're a Silicon Valley spirit, right? We have this innate spirit of helping customers, being agile and flexible with our customers, and getting it done, right? So helping them to build what they need to build, and you know, allow them to utilize it and move forward and really become a customer for a long term, right? So many of our customers stay with us for, gosh, average over 6 years. And that's just a testimony to the work that we do and the developers that we have on our staff, right? There's superb technical talent. We've got a wide range of expertise from web, mobile, big data, IoT, machine learning. So we do the whole thing, the full spot, like the whole gamut. And with all of that, our developers are dedicated, innovative specialists in what they do. And we always work to deliver the best outcome for you as a client. Some of the certifications and awards, like, not to be, you know, forgotten really, because I think so often we don't want to talk about the awards and such, but I think they are important. We are SOC compliant and ISO compliant. We are AWS Select Consulting Partner, which is really exciting for us and for our clients. We've been on the Inc. 5000 list for 3 years running. Won the best place to code award, and many others, right? So with that, you know, with all of those awards and all of that expertise, right, we've been able to work with some really great companies and universities and nonprofits, right? Throughout our time so far in the 19 years, there's just a few. Some of the ones we might have heard of: Logitech, of course, and Thermo Fisher, Ancestry.com. So there's just a lot of great companies that we've been able to help with their technology. And you know, throughout this whole journey, again, we tend to stick around. We tend to stay with them because they like what we do and our partnership and how we do things, right? A little bit about me. So my name's Lawrence Franzoni. I'm a VP of Data Analytics, and I've been around data for a long time. Many of us have, but you know, my journey has, you know, just been amazing, and the amount of like storytelling I've had to do with this data, you know, has really driven me to want to know more, to explore that, and into this role today to really help others tell their story with the data, right? I think when we look back, you know, and all of the different spreadsheets we used to deal in on a day-to-day basis, maybe today we're still dealing in those spreadsheets, right? More often than not, you know, I think there's so much information that can be had and so many stories that can be told, but it's hard to see through the lines, how to see that data from a different perspective, unless we're using some sort of data analytics, right? So our purpose today is to increase the data analytics in our lives using a business intelligence software, right? And that will increase our ROI, right? That's going to increase our returns because we're able to tell a story and make actionable decisions, timely decisions, right? And that's our purpose. Always have to have a purpose when we talk about things here, and really a definition. Let's talk about the definition of data analytics. Data analytics for me it's really just a way to look at the data, right? Analyze it to a specific level so that you can make a decision, a desired outcome, that the highest level of desired outcomes from that decision. And it's really telling the story behind the numbers. It's all about extracting value, the value that this data can bring that you already have, maybe that you maybe aren't using in a way that can spur the valuable insights, right? And the decisions to make you even better and more profitable. And I think all that starts with the idea of big data, right? So, big data, gosh, there's a concept of big data and it gets thrown around all the time. It's like, that's a big data thing. Oh, well, that's really nice that you said that, and as I explore big data, today we're going to explore a few, we call it the V's of big data, 4 V's here. And actually I read a white paper that had 17 V's. Like somebody kind of decided, oh, let's see how many words we can do to describe data with V, and so they ended up with 17 different levels of V. However we chop it up, really it comes down to these 4 to start with. And today I want to talk a little bit about velocity, and the flow of data, how fast it's coming at us. The volume, the amount of data, the variety of the different types, and obviously the veracity, that's key, right? So understanding how clean that data is, what it is we're looking at, and what are we going to do with that? So I think the best way to do this is storytelling, aka that's what we're here for, is to storytell. And my first story today is a case study on velocity, and we're going to go ahead and talk a little bit about electricity. Talk about speed, right? I mean, that's like the fastest that we can really relate to on a regular daily basis. It's a big deal, electricity. When you don't have it, you're pretty ticked, right? You're pretty mad. You're like, what? I don't have my electricity. I can't see. It's dark. It's, maybe it's cold because you don't have electricity to run generators to run the heating, or whatever. So it depends on, your situation, but I think electricity, we can all relate to. And we were able to help one of our clients with, electricity story, right? So what does that mean? Well, we had this client, this particular client happens to own those transformers on those poles, right? And they have to figure out, well, how do I know this transformer is going to go out? Or how do I know that the power is going to get to the customer at the end line, right? And so they asked us, and we came up with, a new web platform for them to help them monitor large amounts of data from thousands of points, right? And how fast is the electricity data coming, right? It's nanoseconds. It's coming in so fast, and you have to be able to monitor it and manage it and analyze it in real time in order for your customer to be happy at the end of the day, right? So you can say, oh yeah, well, we provided this information, to them, and then they were able to maybe get ahead of that transformer breaking down, right? Or know exactly where it was lagging, So geolocational data, profound visualization, Svitla Systems help this company and continues to help this company monitor like all of this information coming off of these transformers and around those transformers, around that electricity generation and distribution, right? So a huge, I think, step where, this company was able to see visually, right, where they may have laggards, where they may have issues ahead of that breaking down, go in and fix it and continue the electricity. So the speed, though, think about that. Electricity, it's going through so fast. Right now, we're using it. If it went down, bye, Lawrence, wouldn't see you. So it's a big deal. And again, we utilized the storytelling of being able to tell the story of those transformers, of that data in real time, right? Like we can go to the next level, which is the volume of the data. How much data is coming at us is a little scary, to be honest with you, because this is like, I mean, a call to action, if you've ever heard of one, this is the next frontier, data. So, what is that? What do I mean? Well, I mean, there's statistics are showing that we're going to end up with globally, we're going to have generated 175 zettabytes of data. And I had to look that up, to be honest. I said, okay, well, what's a zettabyte? What's a billion terabytes? 1 zettabyte, a billion terabytes. I just said having 175 zettabytes by 2025. That's around the corner. We know we're about ready to eclipse another year. Again, a terabyte is 1,000 gigabytes. So, generally speaking, you kind of put that in your brain a little bit, and then you say, well, Statistica is saying that not only talking about 175 zettabytes of data by 2025, but they're actually saying by the year 2030, it's going to be 612 zettabytes globally. And then by the year 2035, it explodes to over 2,000 zettabytes of data. So we're talking about a massive amount of information that we're all going to have, and that information has power, and it has implications, and we're going to have to deal with it in some way. And this is a call to action right now. If you're not thinking about that in the future, that future is tomorrow, right? It's happening that fast. And so think about that and the amount of data coming here. And then let's look at the next thing, which would be the type of data. So, okay, variety of data. Let me take a quick second. Let's just go ahead and review, like, okay, what are the different types of data that we have? Well, we talk about structured data, semi-structured data, it's like web data, unstructured data, all your social platforms, right? You have geospatial data. You have data coming from your systems machines, and you have open source data. So all of this data is coming at you, and you may be only dealing with some of it, right? Maybe you're dealing with just a part of it. But again, let's talk through a story where some companies are dealing with all of it, right? And how are we doing that? So storytelling through the variety of data. Intelligent water infrastructure. I love the visual that these pictures give. So what are we talking about here? We have a company that we're working with as a client that has distribution of water, right, as their main remit, right, and monitoring and metering that and understanding that. So on the left, you obviously have the picture of the water reservoir and the plants where the water is, funneled, and then you have on the right the child drinking water, and what else would you kind of expect, right? That's the distribution. That's the whole story. So in between, what happens? And then in the dashboard, kind of showing the analytics to go with this picture. So this company came to us, and it's really an awesome story. The company services water delivery, right? And it helps private users, big corps, and large city utilities supply water in an innovative and efficient way, reducing costs, improving water conservation, maintenance efforts. Sustainability of our resources is huge. And so they asked us, what can you do for us? How can you help us with this issue? We need to understand how the water is moving and all of that. So we created a new functionality of components connecting the existing data receivers and collecting and collectors to the back end. So they had a system, we're pulling that information in. And this information, we designed a visualization that allowed for all these reports to receive this information and sensing systems and act on it. Again, you're telling a story with the data to allow for action. And another huge piece, right? So if your water all of a sudden didn't turn on, you're pretty upset. You're like, what's going on? What happened to my water? It can't happen. It's not a system that can go down. You have to have the ability to understand what's happening at all times and keep in front of it. And thanks to the new front end that we helped develop, their speed, their page on demand speed has grown 10 times. So they're able to look at everything in more real-time basis and really just try to help improve their system and the way their delivery went. An awesome study. Again, we're looking at this, the variety of data information that they have. I mean, There's geospatial data coming at them. They have to know exactly where their information is coming from so that they can solve those problems. All right, veracity. Veracity, it might be the most important thing. I know it's the fourth V that we kind of talked about, but data governance and clean data, good data. We always talk about good data versus bad. There is no gray. Good data. It's essential. We have to be able to understand and govern the data that we have in a way that allows us to be super flexible and quick with our decisions, and a way that allows us to be able to trust, right, what we're seeing to make the right decisions. Okay, so it starts with things like data privacy, data stewardship, data security, super important, obviously, and then how does this all tie together with the life cycle of all of your data, right? A case study I'd like to bring forward here is one that I think it's like a public use here, in a sense, because there's an opioid crisis, and where does that all start? Well, I think really the question is how do you get to a place where we have an opioid crisis? In some ways, there's opioids being given out as part of surgeries, right? And so we were asked by the company to go ahead and see if we can make sure we can take a look at the opioid prescriptions and build a site within Tableau in this case, right? So that administrators and doctors could look at the distribution of these opioids, and you're going to utilize this natural machine learning and AI technologies to kind of really amplify that and understand whether or not they're overprescribed or not, and where that may be, where are there corrective behaviors to be had. So through the aggregation of all the doctors, hospital systems, that were out there, that in this study particularly, and all of the opioids being prescribed post-surgery, how is that tied together, and are there behaviors, right? Are there trends where they can slow up or maybe augment the way that they go about prescribing opioids, and monitoring all of that activity? It's a huge, I think, humanitarian effort, really, but I think it's also responsible, from this company's, aspect of things, to try to do their part to make sure that they know where things are going, and that what are the habits of doctors across the landscape and administrators. So, again, clean data. This wouldn't be possible if we didn't have good data to deal with, right? So we had to make sure that the data that we received was valid and that was cleaned. And when we put in the good data, you get good outcomes, right? All right, thank you for all of that. So I think, that's our big data story. And now we want to kind of go through a data journey, right? So, all right, so I told you all about these different case studies that Svitla has kind of done some great things with some companies, and continues to do so. But now, how do I get there? How do you get there to get to a point where you have a Tableau, you have some insights, right? So the data journey really starts with your current state, and everybody's going to be in a different spot. You have source systems, you may have Excel, everybody does. Maybe you have some SQL servers, you have, maybe you have some Facebook data that you're bringing in, and maybe you keep it in a data warehouse, maybe you have it in a data mart, maybe it's, your database underneath somebody's desk. Everybody's starting from a different place. Maybe you already have a data lake, and maybe that's really where we want to get everyone, is to get them to a data lake, or in the cloud somewhere, or maybe if it's on-prem, you have access to a data lake, so you can ingest all of this data and you can blend it together from the different systems to make meaningful, data stories, right? It's about the data story at the end of the day. So you're transforming it. And then the idea would be to help share that transformation, that data in a dashboard, right? Potentially. And again, that brings up the business intelligence. That's where business intelligence really connects everything. It's the ultimate connector of information. And, once you put in place the data governance piece, you put in place, your data lake and such, now you can access that information through a business intelligence tool. And those tools should be able to give you a great visualization of, what's going on in your current company and maybe around you, what's happening around you. That visibility should inspire you to make decisions, hopefully, should help you make decisions that, change the course potentially of the direction in your company. So what do you mean? Which service do I choose? Look at all the different services. There's so many services. I just picked a few here. Tableau, one of the biggest in the world right now, along with Microsoft Power BI. Huge services. Looker, Zoho Analytics, Domo, an up-and-coming one. Amazon 𝐋𝐚𝐰𝐫𝐞𝐧𝐳𝐨𝐢, fantastic service. Each one of these is going to have slightly different critical features that you are going to have to want to think about how your company will want to use this software, how you think your end game is going to look, right? And what kind of visualizations you need. The deployment options, Svitla can obviously help you integrate any of these, but what deployment options do you want? What do you currently have system-wise, right? Those integrations, if you have an Azure stack, can you just tag on another Microsoft product like Power BI? Or would you prefer a Tableau because you have a Salesforce CRM, right? If you're Amazon Redshift, maybe you want to go right to Amazon 𝐋𝐚𝐰𝐫𝐞𝐧𝐬𝐢. So all of those integrations are possible, but it doesn't have to be one way or the other, right? If you have an Azure stack, you can put Amazon 𝐋𝐚𝐰𝐫𝐞𝐧𝐬𝐢 as your business intelligence tool. Doesn't matter. It's all about allowing, what does that front end look like? What do you want it to look like for yourself? And then, of course, the ease of use. How easy is it to use? Is it intuitive for you and your team? And then the price, of course, cost is always going to matter. Each one of these is going to have a slightly different, offering, right? If you're a very large company versus a smaller company, right? So those are different things. I'm going to just kind of take you through a couple of visuals just so people can kind of see it. This slideshow will go out to you, and we put a couple of video links in here so you can kind of look at what is Tableau, what does it look like when you go in and see a Tableau screen, or what does it do? It comes to mind, what's it do? How does it interact? How do you interact with it as a system? How cool is it, to utilize and to share these dashboards? Power BI. So Power BI is, again, it's a phenomenal system, and one of the best pieces is the what if analysis that you can do with Power BI, giving everyone kind of a view of, using your data currently, the predictive AI machine learning analysis of that algorithm pushing your sales forward, possibly, right? That what if analysis if you kept on this trend, right? And then I think the last one I wanted to kind of cover with everyone is 𝐋𝐚𝐰𝐫𝐞𝐧𝐬𝐢, Amazon 𝐋𝐚𝐻𝐻. Amazon just had a massive conference recently, and they released a whole bunch of new tools, and I actually did a training with all these tools, and I think they're so big. It's such a big game changer, right? And this is really it. This is the big payoff, guys. This is where we're going to go with it. It is natural language querying, natural language questioning. So, I've always said that everybody should have access to the visuals. Everybody should have access to the dashboards, because I think everyone should have a different, level of views, different graphs, different charts that relate to their KPIs, relate to what they need to know, right? But invariably, everybody's, charts and graphs and things of that nature, their visualizations, there's going to be questions within those visualizations. And with natural language questioning, you can just type in the question. You don't need to, send it to your data group and say, hey guys, can you help me with this? I want to know, what did this sales look like 2 years ago? Or why did this, what was driving this sales drop off? You could just ask in a little like Google bar, or in this case, a question bar right above the chart. And that's going to give you insight now. And that speed is the game changer, because time is money. And we all know that this is something that everybody should have. If you're going to utilize your data and you have it all cleaned and in a system, and now you have dashboards, everybody's going to have different questions. And depending on your level, if you're in the C-suite, you're going to view your business slightly differently. You're going to know things about your business that your data analysts will not know. And you're going to be able to ask that question directly. Let me show you a couple of extracts that I took from the site. So here's one, again, this is the sales and forecast chart, and you can see the sales kind of over time, but then it shows that forecast piece, right? So based on a mathematics, right? I'm a math guy. You've got that algorithm that's building you a future, right? What does this look like? If you continued, as in the past, this is what it would look like. And it has kind of like a variance, right? It shows that little pink on the outside of the orange, outside the kind of faded orange, right? Shows that variance of what it could be, right? Based on its algorithms. And then let's take it to another level. So now you have a dashboard. It's a nice fancy dashboard. This case is the highest grossing Hollywood movies. And it's sorted here for horror movies with, looks like It in the far left bar. The greatest thing about this is that little Q bar at the top. So here you have this chart with all of these movies in it, and it's sorted again for horror. And you might want to ask the question, well, how many movies were there in general, right? How many movies were in the whole study? How many distinct movies are in the list? Boom, there it is. There's your answer. Huh, okay, that's interesting. Maybe not as interesting as maybe, what are the top 3 grossing movies in 2021? Really? You can ask that. Just type it in. And there's your chart. There's your top 3 movies. There's the numbers. Oh, maybe I don't like a bar chart here. Change the chart. There's a little bar on the right-hand side over here. You can just click, change the chart to, I don't know, maybe a circle chart, pie chart, right? Or, you can get some insights too in some cases. And, those insights are going to be more in depth than others. So just by typing it in, it recognizes top 3, and obviously movies by sales in 2021, right? It recognizes that information. And that's huge. I mean, it changes the time immediately. Get your answers now. I keep thinking about like how many times I've dealt with, dashboards and, talking to executives, and, invariably they're going to look at that chart or that graph and they're going to have a question. And then they come back with that question, and, if I don't know the answer off the top of my head, I've got to go get that answer, right? I've got to go help them get that answer through the teams that I had. And then we have to come back with an answer, right? And then there may be another question. Maybe they've thought about it. So what about this? What about that? And so all of that time spent searching for answers is gone. It's down to an instant. If the data's there, you can search it. And that's massive. That's your big payoff, guys. That's, everything. So why use business intelligence software? Well, again, we go back to timing. I guess share the story, I think it was in Good to Great that Jim Collins talked about, Sam Walton and, how he utilized data all the time. He was actually one of the guys that felt like he needed to know what was selling on every shelf every single day, and he got a report, and then he would make changes every single day based on what his team aggregated for him and got him. It must have been very time-taking back in the day when he was starting his company, to pull all that information together. Timing is huge. And, this data visualization era, really, business intelligence era, is going to allow you to save time, which is going to allow you to turn that into more money, right? The more proactive and resilient organizations are going to be looking at their data. They're going to be finding the story, tell that story, so that they can make actionable decisions, right? Real-time decisions. It's huge. It's a massive piece. And that to me is like worth everything that you guys came today with, right? The idea of data governance, again, I can't leave it alone. It's so huge. We have to have good data. I think it's going to be one of the most sought after things for companies to have. If they don't already have a chief data officer, they're going to need someone to help their transition of their data and make sure that there's a good governance behind the data. So those CDOs are going to be huge. And I think there's going to be more and more regulation around data to come, right? And that regulatory body, different governance, different data, information coming in from different places, and how that, is going to be dealt with is huge, right? And so again, going back to data governance, there needs to be a link, and there needs to be policies around your data and what you're utilizing to drive your business value, right? So good data in, good outcomes, possibly, bad data in, potentially bad outcomes, right? So we really need to have a good set of data governance, the sense of things, right? So let's talk about really quickly, how do I turn business intelligence into business value? What does that look like? So you have all these systems, and maybe you're ingesting a lot of data, right? Maybe you're getting reports today on that data, but you bring in that business intelligence tool and you're going to gain insight that you maybe didn't have, right? Through predictive analysis, through AI and machine learning, right? And then you're going to be able to make decisions, empowered decisions on that data, looking forward, predicting what's going to happen here, optimizing it and making it better. The key performance predictors instead of the key performance indicators. What are we looking at? What are we looking towards? And how can we either change that outcome, by changing our current decision, right? Or at least if we know that this is going to be something we have to deal with, it's going to happen up or down based on maybe the macro scene, where it's going to be, so you can get ahead of that, make better decisions, create more value for your company. Timelines, how long is it going to take? It depends on where you are. Everybody's in a different place here, right? So, today you're definitely, if you're here today, you're aware, you have a general understanding of this stuff. And so, where are you going to go as a company is going to, this is the, typical timeline of any kind of project, right? But, reality is, we want to get everybody to ownership of that data and of their data stories, so they can storytell on a daily basis, and they can ask those questions of their data directly through natural language querying, whether it's, and just as a understanding, for everyone, Tableau has natural language querying, Power BI has natural language querying, and so does Amazon, right? AWS. So, decision intelligence, guys. So decision intelligence is where we're moving towards, right? Business intelligence, great. We've got business intelligence tools all day long, data analytics, wow, so fancy. Decision intelligence is what matters, because now you're saying, what if this? Using artificial intelligence, machine learning. We don't want the machines to take over. What we want insight. Maybe the question we didn't think to ask. Maybe it's just further predicting where this is going if we kept in the same trend, right? And making better decisions. So that what if analysis is massive. Okay, so let's see here. I think everything is going fine. Yeah, we're okay. All right, so the last thing we have here I wanted to talk through is how does Svitla fit into all of this for you? Well, as I mentioned, Svitla Systems has been around for 19 years, and our experience matters, right? So we have been there through this with a lot of different firms right now, and we're continuing to help firms visualize their data better and become, the trusted partner on their journey. Okay, People are the foundation of Svitla's success. And our employees represent different cultures, backgrounds, experiences from all over the world. And as a result of this diversity, we provide clients with fresh ideas and innovative software solutions. And everyone that comes in contact with Svitla says, wow, they're great, flexible, agile, helpful, thoughtful company, right? And that's what we strive to do every single day. I would say that, wherever you are on your data journey, we can help you. Whether it's moving things from your on-prem servers to the cloud, or, if you're already in the cloud, maybe it's aggregating that data, integrating the data sets that you have, cleaning the data, and making, good data governance decisions. Or, as in our case right here, what we're talking about is data analytics, putting in that business intelligence tool, integrating that business intelligence tool to your data set and helping you visualize, what's going on in your firm and telling that data story, right? So that you can make better decisions. Questions? All right, so I think that's probably all the time we had for the other stuff. So let's go through some questions. Did anybody have any questions? Let's look on the list of questions and things like that. Okay, so a couple of questions coming in. Oh, sorry. This video will be available and will be sent out via a link after today at some point. Let me see here. Look for the questions they had. So one of the questions we have here is, so which business intelligence is best if you're a small startup, if you're a smaller firm, and or a smaller team? I think that oftentimes you start with that conversation. You're thinking of, what do I need it to do, right? I think as you're a small team and you're growing, you need to look at costs. You need to look at some of the things that what kind of skill sets do you have on your team. So you want to look at ease of use sometimes, right? Maybe you don't have a whole bunch of coders on your team right now, and so you need to have someone like Svitla do the coding piece. But the idea of, it depends on how much you really can afford to put into a business intelligence tool. They all have different levels of payments for different things, and I would say that you just need to look at the integration of your current systems and what that looks like for you, right? So, but we're happy to have that conversation with you to help you make that decision. And you're welcome to contact us anytime to go through that. Okay, we have another one here. So what are the common issues for integrating data from different sources? I think the biggest thing is, when you integrate data from all the different sources, it's really making sure you can connect that data together via some sort of common naming, right? So you have to make sure that not only is the data good data and clean data coming out of the systems that you have it in, but you have to be able to connect it with common language, common names, so you can really integrate things, right? Through maybe if one system it's called something different than the other, right? You have to make sure you're matching the naming conventions and the string data, so that you can kind of put it all together. And I think that's a common thing for a lot of firms to have to go through, is making sure that all that information is linked properly and filled in, of course, with the cleanliness of it. Next question. Let's see what we have here. Okay, another one over here. So there's a question getting forward to what are the necessary data, future skills of data analysts. So this is a great question. I think this is one of those where, first of all, data analytics teams are going to be necessary across the board. But the future skills are going to be really adaptability, flexibility, and continuous learning, right? Things are changing in the data analytics world very quickly now. We can see where the companies are going. Amazon is creating natural language querying for a reason. They want to put these dashboards in the hands of every single person, right? So everyone in the organization should have access to these dashboards, should be able to check their own KPIs through these visuals and be able to ask questions, right? Figure out, well, where is this trend? What does this mean for us, and how can we change that if it's bad, and how can we improve it if it's good, right? So I think the data analysts of the future are going to have to really be able to not only create the visualization, but try to understand, what kind of visualizations are best, right, for every single client, internally and externally, right? And how can that tell a story to them? Because that's huge. Again, it's about storytelling. So what's the story you're trying to tell? And I think the data exploration aspect of things is going to be even bigger, because the amount of data coming in, and the machine learning and artificial intelligence are going to give insights that we might not have thought of on our own internally, potentially. And that's going to create a huge, I think, opportunity forward. So I think that's the thing. And it's funny, you start to see things like, on a visualization, talk about data analytics really taking a step forward. On the drive to the airport, you see billboards, get your master's degree in data analytics. It's here, right? And it's huge. Okay. So looks like that pretty much rounds us out. If I didn't get to your question, I will try to answer it in the near future. Okay. But looks like we're going to have to jump off this one here today. I really appreciate everybody coming today, and I hope that you learned something. I hope that you were inspired, and you're going to listen to this call to action. And I hope that you contact us to have a further conversation about how we at Svitla can help you on your data journey. And thanks again for everybody coming today. Appreciate it.